Hello. Welcome to Community Pulse. Community Pulse is a CAN TV public affairs show about public health and healthcare in Chicago. Today, our guest is Shelly Mitchell from Versiti Blood Centers, and we're going to talk about just the importance of blood donation. And this month, which is, we're shooting this in August, but in a day it'll be September, and September is Sickle Cell Anemia Awareness Month. So Shelly, welcome to Community Pulse.
Thank you for having me, Leon.
Okay, now, time to, hopefully you can follow this, but okay, Community Pulse is presented by the Foxglove Alliance, a coalition of 15 public health care organizations in Chicago. The Foxglove Alliance is sponsored by the Hectone Institute of Medicine, an 80-year-old institution in Chicago dedicated to various issues in healthcare and managing public health care delivery grants and medical research grants. My partners working on Community Pulse are the Healthcare Council of Chicago and Hectone's Nurses and Humanities Program. Okay, I know that's a lot to digest, but we're done with that, and now we can really start to get into the meat of the show. So, first, okay, not related to Versiti, but okay, tell us about Shelly Mitchell.
So thank you, Levi. My name is Shelly Mitchell, and I am going to say a little bit, Versiti and I are really kind of intertwined. Okay. So in the sense that I'm a regional manager for donor recruitment, and I have been working in this mission of work for 35 years. And part of what drives me and keeps me really engaged with our mission is the support that we do for all mankind in the sense of blood donations and having blood available for our patients, is that my sister suffered from sickle cell disease. Oh. And so from that, this work is a way for me to honor her. She's lost that battle with that disease. Oh. But in her lifetime, she probably received more than 3,000 transfusions. Oh, wow. As blood is a form of treatment, along with pain management. So for that, that part of me is quite intertwined, and it helps me to continue to honor her, and then to be a part of making that situation. It's a terrible disease. 1 in 365 African Americans have that disease. So it's a terrible disease, and Versiti is doing things to make that better, right? Educating, bringing awareness.
Okay, well, the name Versiti is a little different. So, what does it mean? And also, this is Versiti local, national, you're a regional manager, which is just the scope of Versiti nationally, and then describing us what's going on locally.
All right, awesome. Yes, thank you. So Versiti would like to say that we're a beacon of hope for the work that we do. And so we are across 5 states. And we are the 5th largest blood center in the country and 4th largest in the Midwest.
Okay. Now, when you think about, blood centers, but there's donation, but then you also do other things too, right?
Correct. Blood is the bigger part of what we do, but we also have a National Research Institute in our Milwaukee footprint. And so we try to do all things blood. So we want to be on the treatment side. We want to be on making sure that patients have what they need. And so we strive to be on the forefront to support illnesses. How can we impact that with the research and the work that we do as well as making sure our local hospitals have the blood that they need for the patients that they see.
Okay, a lot of times, especially with the Community Pulse, we always tend to go back to, we're pulling out of the pandemic. And just, how was, blood donation activity before the pandemic, during, and what are you facing now?
So before the pandemic, we were more or less able to meet our goals. There's always a need for blood, so it doesn't go away. During the pandemic, when it first hit, we lost over 10,000 units in the first, I would say, month or less. So it was a really big hit to us. Doors were closed, people weren't at work, schools weren't in, and so we had to pivot.
So the normal places, organizations that would host blood drives weren't available.
Correct. They weren't available, but I will say that our hospitals, along with our churches, kind of stepped up. Public libraries stepped up as a hub for the community to come in and donate. They weren't working, and most are working from home, so they had some flexibility to come out, and we slowly began to be able to work towards continuing to meet that need, but not in its full capacity.
Okay. Where are you at now?
So we're coming off the summer now, and the summer is tough. We have a lot more people traveling. We have schools and universities that are not in session in summer, and they are about 25% of our collections. So for the summer months, we definitely struggle through that. We're at need. We're actually low now, but we're coming off the summer. Schools are opening back, and we're looking forward to getting in and having that support to kind of help pick up the supply.
Okay. In our minority communities, a lot of times we're wary of things related to medicine. And does that also go for blood donation?
It does. Our communities, it's about really the lack of awareness. And then there is that history where because we are an affiliate, if you will, or an extension of our medical institutions, there is a lack of trust. So being Versiti, we work to try to make sure that we can go into communities and educate, specifically our Black and Brown communities. We want to educate on the importance and how we can make the difference for ourselves and our communities if you just know how important your impact is to donating blood.
Okay, now this is a really, probably really basic question, but okay. The blood that you receive that's donated, where does it go?
It goes to our local hospitals. There's hospital partners that we have.
Okay.
It goes to the hospitals, and we do the testing. We actually do all parts, all of the testing. We collect it, we test it, and then we distribute it to the hospital partners. Okay,
and just this for our viewers, okay, who should avoid donating blood or delay donating blood?
That's a tricky question. If you're on our website, versiti.org, there is some information there that will help you to determine if you are eligible to donate blood. So I don't want to tell people to avoid or not to avoid, because so many things continue to change. And where you may not have been eligible 5 or 10 years ago, you might be eligible today. So we'd like everybody to come and determine to come and see if they can donate versus self-deferring, if you will. There are some conditions that are evident, but your doctors would have told you that, and then our team will take you through a process to determine suitability.
Okay, and what's the threshold in terms of age? How old do you have to be?
Good question. You can be 16-year-old, 16 with a parent's permission, and 17 on your own.
Okay. Let's shift a little bit to sickle cell anemia. We have heard about this in the Black community for years, decades. We know that it impacts Black people at a higher rate.
It does.
So just, can you tell us, what is it? Are there protocols, cures, remedies? Can it be eradicated? You just, walk us through step by step, kind of history, where it's at, how it's treated, things of that nature.
So sickle cell disease is prominent, as you said, in the African American community. It is an inherited disease, so you can't catch it. It is it's transferred to you by your parents. And what it is inherently is, while our red cells are circle, if you will, like a donut, if you will, patients that suffer from sickle cell disease, their red blood cells are sickled which is why you get the name. And it's, if you want to see, C-shape, half moon. And what happens there is the blood cells get trapped in the veins and against the valves, and that causes pain. And so it also limits its ability to transfer oxygen to the body, which is something that's gravely needed. And so also those red cells don't have a very long lifespan. So sickle cell patients ends up with what we call sickle cell crisis. And then that's when they usually have to be seen, go to the hospital, and it's pain management and blood transfusions.
And, well, I want to go back to you said with your parents, but can it skip a generation?
It can. So both parents have to have the trait for sickle cell disease. Both parents have to have the trait for sickle cell disease to generally pass it to their kids.
Okay. So, but the scenario of hopefully rare, but grandparents, if both grandparents had the trait, but could it skip the parents and then impact the child? Or am I just going way too deep into this?
You are. It really is. It's one of the parents, like, so me personally, I have sickle cell trait.
Okay.
My husband does not.
Okay.
So then for that mitigated or reduced the chance for kids to have the disease.
Okay, that's the reason why I asked it, because we've been kind of really harping on please, 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 at family, check your family medical history.
Yes.
It is critical for just a number of reasons, and a lot of times, and especially with a lot of things came out of the pandemic, it's like, well, you know, what is your medical? It's like, well, I don't know. Or there was something that was in my family that popped up that, well, turns out most of my cousins, we have this same eye issue that was really our grandmother on our father's side. And we realized that, well, oh, you too? And it's like, okay, let's tell the other cousins to be on the lookout for this. Okay, what if you have sickle cell? Does that make the probability of you getting other diseases or conditions higher?
No, I won't say that. I'll just say that sickle cell affects your organs. So by that, you may have some different kinds of organ issues based on the fact that you have sickle cell disease. But I won't say, I can't speak to that. I'm not a physician.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are some of the activities that are going to be going on related to sickle cell education that our viewers might be able to attend, to view, things of that nature?
So I'll push folks to definitely go on to our versity.org website. There's information there that can talk to you, that you can read about sickle cell disease and the impact, how that there are fewer people of African American that donate. It's the Emory study of, I want to say 2011, said that about 16%, 38% of the population is eligible to donate. And so we're actually having about 8 blood drives coming up in September that are going to be supporting sickle cell disease. So you know, they may know someone. I know at least we have one where it's basically everyone is trying to bring awareness, and we're working with D9, and they're bringing awareness to sickle cell by hosting these blood drives. And we'll be having some conversations around that. And as we get donors to donate, we're talking about sickle cell disease as well.
Okay, now I kind of want to go to the research part of Versity. What are some things that you're working on?
So I'm going to say that not my sphere as much, but we keep ourselves working on blood diseases, things that are blood-based, blood-borne, so we continue to work on that to have better outcomes for all patients.
Okay. I guess now just kind of want to look at your take on, let's say, just, you know, healthcare as relates to the work you do. Like, where does, what I'm sure it impacts all types of areas, but we're trying to get a sense of, okay, your work really impacts a lot of other areas of medicine.
So yes, I will say that bringing awareness, making sure donors understand, or our communities understand, the impact that they can have on their community. Similar ethnicities in terms of blood transfusions, specifically for sickle cell patients, make sure that they have better outcomes. That makes a difference. And so that work is important in terms of making sure our communities know, so we can increase our opportunity to have more diverse blood supply in order to help all patients. So that is a huge impact. Right now, we're greatly populated is Caucasian is our highest donors.
And do we need to push for more youth to donate?
We absolutely need first-time donors. We need more youth because our group is aging out. So it's an imperative that we get more first-time, more younger donors that start to pick up this mission and carry on to make sure that we don't have a crisis in the future, because like I said, our demographic is aging out.
Okay.
Not that they're too old to donate, but obviously just aging out in the sense that, there's there's illnesses and things like that that can prevent you from donating.
I mean, one of my favorite numbers types that we are entering a really interesting phase, and it's dealing with the aging of the baby boomers. In that we are going to have more people over 60 than we have under 20. And it's truly because of the aging of the baby. And every day in America, there are 10,000 people turning 65 years old.
Wow.
And that isn't going to really stop until about 2027. And in terms of prolonged, we're living longer, but that means we're going to be engaged in in healthcare and a lot more. So please, younger people, help folks like me out. We need you to become first-time donors, and then to make this kind of a regular part of what you do. Now, it's been sort of like always with that. Okay, we really need to be cognizant of trying to make sure that our blood donation is ready for the holidays, the winter. So are there periods where we really need to focus on during the year?
So yes, as I said, the summer is very tough, so that's a focus. The need for blood never goes out of season, if you will. However, what does occur is that people are busy and it's not at the forefront of their minds. So you have folks that will normally be donating that around the holidays, they're doing the hustle and bustle of the holidays. And so that's the one more thing on the list that probably falls to the bottom of the list. And so we have to continue to keep it in the forefront to help people to remember, hey, don't forget about us. The best gift that you can give is the gift of life. And so we really do push for our churches, our groups that are in, to really host around that time. We know that, again, schools are out on winter break, makes a difference in that time period. And so we really do want to make sure that we are asking anyone and everyone that can support the mission to host with us in hopes to make sure that we, again, have the blood that's on the shelf, because it actually is the blood that's already on the shelf that is helping to save lives.
Oh, and a couple of things. If your organization wants to set up a blood drive, do they need to have a certain amount of space, or do you have a mobile unit, or?
Yes, we can do both. We prefer inside space, a space that the host would provide for us. We can come out and check the site to make sure that it is the right site to be able to give you and your donors the best experience. We do have a mobile bus, but with that comes a little bit of risk. It's a bus, right? So if it has mechanical issues or it requires a CDL driver to operate it, those become our risks. But we absolutely use that if we have if you can't support us in the inside.
Okay, well, Shelley, thank you for coming on Community Pulse. I just want to give you just a sense of like how we're going to kind of deal with the rest of the year. So, as I said, that Community Pulse is a partnership between Hectones Nurses and Humanities Program and the Healthcare Council of Chicago. So we actually have our full roster of shows, and we're on. We tend to do 2 shows, new shows a month, and they're available on CAN-TV Channel 21, and also they can be streamed on YouTube and on the Foxglove Alliance website and the Healthcare Council of Chicago website. But we have some very interesting topics that are coming, and we're going to do, we already started to plan for it, we're going to do a year-end wrap-up of healthcare in Chicago, and we're debating about even doing 2 shows in December because, well, we've been through a lot, folks. We are coming out of the pandemic. We're dealing with this aging of America, of Chicago. Also, we're going to emphasize a lot of the work that's being done. This is the Foxglove thing on clinical trials in Chicago because there is a sense that we need to get serious about, this we would say, some areas such as diabetes, hypertension, dementia, and Chicago, we're lucky. There are a lot of clinical trials being conducted on, for instance, one in particular, dementia. And that is something that, unfortunately, if you have not had to deal with that in your family, you probably will. So with that, I'm going to start to wrap up. And as I said, we want to thank Shelley Mitchell from Versity. And I'm Levi Moore, the coordinator of the Foxglove Alliance. And I want to thank CAN-TV's not-for-profit services. And also had to do this little plug too. CAN-TV is very important to me because I've been on the board and I'll finally be rotating out at the end of this year, but I've been affiliated with the board of directors of CAN-TV for 8 years. And it's been one of the best experiences of my life. So with that, thank you and stay tuned for the next episode of Community Pulse. But you'll be able to look at this show on, it's going to be aired a number of times in the month of September, and you can always watch it at your will by streaming. Thank you.
Thank you.